Hi guys, welcome back to Math with OG. In this video, we'll be taking a look at Introduction to Algebra, which I term algebraic processes. Algebra is something that we've grown accustomed with. It's one of the building blocks of everything you have in mathematics. In order not to say too much story, just note that algebra is that part of mathematics that deals with representing numbers with variables, representing numbers with unknown. That part of mathematics is what we call algebra. You must have come across questions where you'll be asked a certain number is divided by 2 added to 5 to give you 24. Find that certain number. So that branch of mathematics that deals with introducing unknowns or variables is what we call algebra. And it is better you understand the basics of algebra before you start answering questions under equations, be it your simple equation, your simultaneous equation, quadratic equation, cubic, and whatever equation you might have. Now, let's say, for example, you come across a number like this. You come across a number like this, 4x. This is a term on its own where x is a variable and 4 is the coefficient of the variable x. X is a variable and 4 is the coefficient of the variable x. X being a variable means that x can take any value. X being a variable means x can take any value. But if you come across a number like this, 5, this is not a variable. This number here is a constant. 5 is 5, and 5 does not have any other value apart from 5. So that's the whole idea of variables and constants. Now, like I said over there, if you have a term x, now it is good you know how to look at these numbers, how they truly are, so that when you are solving questions or when you are dealing with questions, you know what you are doing. X standing on its own does not necessarily mean that what you have there is just x. This x is simply positive 1 multiplied by x. So this is positive 1 multiplied by x. So why should you know that this is positive? Because when you are multiplying this guy with another number, you should know the sign attached to it. Remember when we did directed numbers. So when a positive sign is multiplying a positive sign, it should give you a positive sign. However, when a positive sign is multiplying, rather a positive number is multiplying a negative number, it should give you a negative answer. So when you have a number like this, minus x simply means minus 1 multiplied by x. You have another number here as 8x. 8x means positive 8 multiplied by x. Note that in this case, x is simply a variable. The coefficient of x here is 1. The coefficient of x here is minus 1. The coefficient of x here is positive 8. The coefficient of x here is negative 3. Now in this case, we have another term called xy. This one is a product of two variables. And this xy is simply positive 1 multiplied by x multiplied by y. So when you start looking at these guys this way, you will understand better how to add, subtract, multiply, or divide them. Now below, we have questions, algebraic statements, which we are told to represent as an expression. You need to learn how to represent algebraic statement as expression before you can now solve algebraic equation, because this expression leads to equation. Imagine you are told 12 divided by 5x will give us 28. Find the value of x. It means I have just turned this expression into an equation. So you have to learn how to represent this as an expression before you can now go ahead to solve simple equations. Now let's play with this question. They say translate to algebraic expressions. Let's translate this English statement to algebraic expression, starting with 12 divided by 5x. So you say let's divide 12 by 5x. It's asking to divide 12 by 24. This is pretty straightforward. If I divide 12 by 5x, this statement simply means 12 over 5x. As simple as that. This statement simply means 12 over 5x. Now the next statement, x multiplied by itself minus twice y. X multiplied by itself minus twice y. So let's multiply x by itself. Multiplying x by itself simply means x multiplied by x. Now we are asked to subtract twice y. Twice simply means 2. So this means 2 times y minus 2y. Now what is x times x? X times x, we all know that it is x squared. And we have to do this first before we subtract, because we have to obey Bodmas. So this will give me x squared minus 2y. So that is this in its algebraic expression. Now the next question, difference between a and b. This question is quite ambiguous because when you ask the difference between two things, you can either come by saying difference between a and b is a minus b, or the difference between a and b is b minus a. However, in mathematics, when you are asked to find the difference between two numbers, two variables as the case may be, we usually use the bigger number minus the smaller number. So if I ask you what is the difference between 5 and 2, the difference between 5 and 2 is 5 minus 2. Another person will ask what is the difference between 2 and 5. The difference between 2 and 5 is still 5 minus 2. Now why am I working with 5 minus 2? Because I know that 5 is the bigger number and 2 is the smaller number, except you are now told positive difference and negative difference. So the positive difference here will be 3, while the negative difference will be minus 3. The bottom line is that when you ask to find a difference, always use the bigger number minus the smaller number. But in this case, I don't know if a is the bigger number or b is the bigger number. But since we are dealing with variables and a is coming first, we just leave it as a minus b. So the difference between a and b is simply a minus b. Next question, 8 times y cubed divided by 7 times x squared. 8 times y cubed, 8 multiplied by y cubed. So that's what we have, 8 times y cubed. Let me write it well. 8 times y cubed divided by 7 times x squared. 8 times y cubed divided by 7 times x squared. So that's what we have. This will give us 8y cubed all over 7x squared. Now the next one, multiply the number x by 5. So let's start with that. Multiply the number x by 5. That's simply 5 times x. So you can do 5 times x, you can do x times 5. Remember, multiplication is commutative. Multiply the number x by 5, subtract 4. Subtract 4. Subtract 4. I have multiplied the number x by 5 and subtracted 4. Now we are told divide the result by treble the original number. Divide the result by treble the original number. So the original number is x. The original number here is x. So we have to divide the result by treble the original number. So treble simply means 3 multiplied by the original number. So let's go over it again. Multiply the number x by 5, the original number I multiplied by 5, subtract 4, I subtracted 4, then divide the result by treble the original number. So this should give us 3 times x. So the final answer here should be 5x minus 4 all over 3x. So that should be the answer to that question. Now the very last question, pay attention so that you understand all what we'll be doing here. Bosse is x years old now. So let me wipe here. Bosse is x years old now. So I can say Bosse's age is x. Bosse is x years old now. How old is her mother if she is 3 times as old as Bosse? How old is her mother if she is 3 times as old as Bosse? So Bosse's mother is 3 times as old as Bosse. So I can say Bosse's mother is 3 times as old as Bosse. That is 3 times Bosse's age, and that will give us 3x. So this is the age of Bosse's mother, and this is Bosse's age. So we've answered the A part of the question. Bosse's age, Bosse's mother's age. How old is her mother 5 years ago? How old is her mother 5 years ago? Now you agree with me that for someone who is 20 years old now, 5 years ago the person was 15 years old. Exactly 5 years ago the person was 15 years old. You know whatever your age is 5 years ago, how will you get your age 5 years ago? You simply subtract 5 years from your present age. So what is her mother's present age? Her mother's present age is 3x. So 5 years ago, her mother's age was 3x minus 5. So this is the A part and this is the B part. 5 years ago, her mother was 3x minus 5. Now the C part, what will be the sum of Bosse's age and her mother's age in 6 years' time? In 6 years' time, what will be your age in 6 years' time? your present age plus 6. For someone who is 20, in 6 years time the person will be 26 years old. So C, in 6 years time Boss's age will be, in 6 years time Boss's age will be her present age plus 6. In 6 years time Boss's age will be her present age plus 6. In 6 years time her mother's age will be her present age, which is 3x plus 6. In 6 years time her mother's age will be her present age, which is 3x plus 6. So what is the sum of their ages in 6 years time? So the sum of their ages in 6 years time, bring Boss's age x plus 6, bring the mother's age 3x plus 6. So we've not done simplification of algebraic expression, but just note that when you are adding, you add like terms. So we'll talk more about this in our next video. So x plus 3x will give us 4x, 6 plus 6 will give us 12. So in 6 years time Boss's age and her mother's age will be 4x plus 12. So that's how you tackle such questions under algebraic processes. So I believe that you understood all what you've looked at. So if you enjoyed the video, kindly use the like button, make use of the subscribe button, and don't forget to share. If there's anything that is confusing about what we talked about, drop it in the comment section. And if you feel that there's any error in our solution, also use the comment section. See you guys in our next video. Bye for now.